They're not real. They don't exist. There's a wall there.
Yeah.
You know, there's no lights or anything. It's just a wall. It's just you and me. We're just sitting here slightly at an off angle for some reason, right? What a weird way to have a conversation. Okay, so just to start off, if you can give me your first and last name and just spell both, it's just kind of...
Yeah.
This is Jack Dalton, Ellen's son and the current owner of Pumpkin Hollow. Since 1993, Pumpkin Hollow has been providing equal parts homegrown hospitality and horror to northern Arkansas. For the 2024 season, A-Corp took a look behind the curtain and got to know the Dalton family who run the operation. What makes this place so special? How does it stay relevant year after year? I'm your host, Jake, and this is Pumpkin People. So, Jack, it's good to finally properly meet you.
Sure.
You know, it's good to put a face to the name.
Right.
When did you take over?
So I took over in the summer of 2020. My parents, who started the business, had been in it for close to 30 years. Of course, the pandemic, we were in the middle of that, and we weren't sure if we were even going to be able to open or not. And kind of made them real anxious, and so we just kind of made the decision to let me take over from there. You know, of course, they've stayed real heavily involved in the business, but I took over the financial responsibilities at that point.
I see, and you'd been involved pretty well before that.
Yes, from the start.
Yeah.
Yeah. When they started the business, it was a rough time in agriculture, and we were small farmers, livestock and row crop. The farm economy was not good, and you know, they were looking something to literally save the family farm.
Right.
And just kind of worked hard and were determined and turned it into what it is today. So her and my dad were both. It's pretty amazing that they came up with the idea and then were determined and hardworking enough to follow through and build it, you know, to what it's built up to today.
Yeah, and that was 92?
93, yeah.
93, yeah.
Yeah. So the place we're sitting right here, you know, they bought this farm in the late 60s.
Right.
It was a dairy, and they converted it to a hog operation. I was actually lived in the house that's sitting right where we're at.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so this wasn't always...
No, this was there was a farmhouse that sat here. We lived here till I was 6 years old, then moved up the hill a quarter of a mile where my mom and dad live now. We have some land 3 miles from here. It's been in our family since the 1800s.
Wow.
So we've got real deep roots in this area, and so it's kind of neat to see the evolution of how the farms evolved. And you know, some was being creative and looking for alternative income sources, and most of it was just kind of out of survival. So,
Sure, yeah. And now, I mean, you guys don't even really do livestock. Like, all the animals are relevant to the operation at this point, right?
So we have a commercial cattle.
Okay, so you do still do commercial cattle. Okay.
We do that. But we don't do a row crop operation anymore. We've rented our farm out to a local producer, and we just raise the pumpkins now. Yeah. So, and do the cattle.
Yeah, and so you would have been how old?
Yeah, I was 20 years. I was in college when they started. Yeah. So.
Yeah, so perfectly at the exact right age to kind of get in on the ground floor.
That's right.
And then you also have a sister, right?
I have two sisters.
Two sisters,
I
right?
do.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so, what is their involvement, if any?
Yeah, so they're both older than me. One of them lives in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and one of them lives in Martin, Tennessee. And they've both helped with little projects here. They've been involved off and on throughout the years as well. So sure. It's truly a family affair.
I know Ellen still does a lot of the day-to-day operations for the place. And that's because, you know, you're not really able to be here every single day because you've got a whole other career in addition to owning this place, right? Can you tell us a bit about that?
Sure. Yeah, I own a crop insurance agency, and I live in Jonesboro, Arkansas. And my crop insurance agency kind of spans Arkansas, Missouri, Mississippi. So I'm on the road quite a bit for that, but we're based out of Jonesboro.
Yeah, I imagine that keeps you pretty busy.
It does. Actually, we had a separate location of Pumpkin Hollow in the early 2000s. We had one in northwest Arkansas, close to Lowell, Arkansas, which is just outside of Bentonville. And my mother was running it, and I was running back and forth from here to there. And I thought, I really need to learn how to fly because it's hard to get there driving. So that kind of inspired me. And then I had a friend that he and I bought a little airplane and learned together. So in the early 2000s.
I see. I feel like a lot of people will say, I should really learn to fly, but then they
Right.
don't do it, whether for, financial reasons, timing reasons, or the fact that it just seems like daunting,
Yeah, right.
So do you just fly a plane, or do you also have a helicopter
I fly
license?
planes and helicopters as well. Yeah.
And I imagine, because those are pretty different to learn, right?
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
There's not too much crossover.
No, a lot of people do one or the other. Not a whole lot of people do both. So it was interesting learning. I did the airplanes first, and then 17 years later, learned the helicopters. So,
I see.
Yeah.
An additional skill at that point.
Yes. Yeah.
Tell me about what Pumpkin Hollow is and what you do in your words, because we've heard Ellen's words.
Right.
So what is it to you?
Of course, it's an agritourism business. We're a pumpkin patch, haunted attractions, corn maze. It's just a great place for families. And then our haunted attractions are more targeted to teenage, college age people. But, it's really been great for our community and although we're in a rural area, we're just shocked all the time when we have lots of school groups come, and we do a lot of education about agriculture and rural. And we're just shocked at kids from rural areas that don't know anything about agriculture. So it's really neat to kind of educate those kids about agriculture and how some of that works, and give families a place to come have a good, wholesome entertainment, right here close. So.
I imagine Pumpkin Hollow itself has a pretty wide radius of, sphere of influence.
It does. It really surprises me from time to time. The majority of our business comes within a 100-mile radius. We have a lot of Jonesboro, Arkansas, a lot of Poplar Bluff, a lot of Dexter, some Saxton. But from time to time, I'll be talking to someone, and they've driven here from Texas, or they've driven here from Oklahoma. Just for this specific
Really,
purpose.
that's interesting.
Yeah, and we get more traveling really in the haunted attractions. We have people from several states away every year, and it astounds me, that people travel that far.
What you should do one of these years is just maybe an entry survey, right, where you ask people where they're coming from.
Right.
Then maybe you could plot like pins on a map and get an idea. I think that could be fun.
Yeah, it'd be really neat, but we actually get some Memphis people and some Little Rock people. Anyway, it's just we've got a pretty wide range.
Tell us about some of those haunted attractions, because you didn't initially always do those, right?
No, we did not. So we started the haunted attractions in the late 90s. So we were probably open roughly 5 years before and kind of how we got started is some friends and I would haunt the corn maze on Halloween. And it just went over so big and it got to growing. But we always had to do it at the end because people would get scared and run through the corn, and the next day the corn maze would be trashed. So we thought, well, if we're going to do this, we should do it in the woods. So it wouldn't be, the first year we were open, that's what we did. We carved out a trail in the woods and put attractions, and then it's just grown from there. So.
I see. Did you guys dress up in costumes and everything? Yeah. Well, if you don't mind me asking, what was your costume? Who'd you dress up as to creep
most
people
of the
out?
time, I pulled the short straw on the hot nights, and I'd be the gorilla. So we had a gorilla suit that was extremely hot to wear. But yeah, sometimes I ran the chainsaw. So we had various activities and costumes that we put on. But yeah, nobody wanted the gorilla because
I can only imagine. The corn maze, you mentioned that. I imagine, whenever the season's over and everything, do you then, whenever you cut down the corn maze, do you harvest that corn?
We do
and then sell
harvest
it?
the corn, yeah. Yeah, some years we just turn cattle in on it, let them harvest it. And some years we actually bring a combine and harvest it. So.
Yeah, well, because I think a lot of people don't even think about that sort of thing. But one of my favorite little behind the scenes movie stories ever is, in the movie Interstellar, on Earth, the planet's basically become a giant dust bowl, right? And so the only thing people can really farm anymore is corn. And the director Christopher Nolan wanted this corn farm that Matthew McConaughey's character to be at the base of the mountains, but there was nowhere in the country where anyone was growing corn at the base of the mountains. So they planted all of these acres of corn just for the movie. And then when it was done, they harvested the corn. Right. They made a huge profit from that. So part of the movie's profits are from the corn. And so I was just thinking, it's kind of funny to think, some of the profits from Pumpkin Hollow are probably also the corn. Or like you said, using it as cattle feed, that sort of thing. The point is you're getting something out of it, which I don't know. I just think that's fun. I think that's interesting.
Yeah, that's where any of the pumpkins we don't pick or that don't get sold, they go to cattle feed.
Yeah.
So we try not to waste anything.
And some of the pumpkins you grow are that specific variety that you use for the pies, right?
Cow pumpkins. I'm not sure exactly.
Right.
That's probably not the scientific name.
Right. But you can't find the seeds just looking for them. You'd have to find someone.
Yeah, we save the seeds out of them every year. Just keep grow them.
I think that's so interesting. That's one thing I'm looking forward to whenever we come back during the actual season. I'm looking forward to trying that. I'm sure the whole crew is looking forward to trying that.
Yeah, the pumpkin pie and the pumpkin roll are both kind of famous. So
yeah, absolutely. I'm definitely looking forward to that. I think that'll be pretty good. Yeah. So, again, when we spoke with Ellen, she kind of gave us the tour and told us about all the attractions, but what are some of your favorite attractions that you have here and the history of them, that sort of thing?
And I like a little more of the adventure. I like the zip line a lot. One of the funnest things to me is we have a zombie paintball where you drive through on the bus and shoot the zombies, and that's really fun to me too. So,
do you have scarecrows, or are there actual actors?
No, they're actually actors.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah,
they get a little bit of bonus.
Yeah,
pay
they get
for
a
getting
little
shot.
Hazard pay.
You would hope so.
We have lots of long-term employees here that have been with us. Some of them since we started over 30 years ago. And a lot of them 20-year plus employees. It's pretty amazing that those people just keep coming back. So,
well, I think it just speaks to the fact that you guys are doing something special and unique and interesting, and people want to be a part of that. And,
that's right. And
I assume you must probably be treating them pretty well.
Yeah,
too.
we try to, but in most days, it's a pretty fun place to be. Everybody's in a good. People are in a good mood, and people are having fun, and so.
Yeah, I imagine just interacting with all the customers is probably a bonus as well.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Get to see all the different faces that show up, and I imagine you've probably got some people who you see them once a year, and you're always looking forward to seeing that person. You probably got some people who show up a few times a year.
Yeah, we have several that come a lot. We see them multiple times throughout the year.
I know when we were initially here, everything had just been planted.
Right.
So there weren't even sprouts to see.
Right.
What can you tell us about the stage of growth?
Yeah. So the corn is just tasseling right now, and we just got a good rain today, so we're sitting in good shape on that. We plant the pumpkins depending on varieties, kind of throughout the month of June. So there's some that are getting pretty good size on them now. We're sitting here, the first week in July. So then some of them are just now coming up. So a lot of the pumpkins, they're from 90 to 120 day maturity. So, we're looking to get some mature toward the end of September so we can open
Right.
The majority of them to be mature around the 1st of October, 1st of middle October. So
Yeah.
we plan ours just a little bit later than if you were raising them commercially and having to ship them and go through, because we're just retailing.
Right, because they're for right here.
So we want them to be fresh. We
Yeah.
we pick them 2 or 3 times a week and keep, to where they hadn't been sitting around for very long. They've got good fresh stems and that kind of thing. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Worst thing you ever could have is a pumpkin patch where people go and they're like, why is everything all dried up and wrong?
There are several pumpkin patches around that really don't even grow their own pumpkins.
Right, they'll just bring
them in and set them on
like just the cut stems and they'll just put them on the ground. And, But no, we grow everything that we sell here. So multiple varieties, and I understand why the other people do it, because it's not an easy task to grow them all. But we've tried to be real authentic with what we do. So, do you have like a theme for the corn maze?
Yes.
Are we talking about the theme for the corn maze yet?
I think we'll just keep that under wraps.
Okay. Well, but we'll be bugging you about that again whenever everyone else can look into it. So.
Yeah. But we have a different design every year. This year's design was actually brought to us by a high school art student in Piggott.
That's cool.
So we kind of have a not really a contest, but we kind of open it up for ideas,
open for submissions.
So she's going to be recognized.
Well, that's really cool.
Yeah, for her ideas. So that's.
Well, now you're just dangling that carrot in front of my face.
Yeah.